Welcome to the Westward podcast, where I'll be talking all things cowboying, horses, grace, grit, faith, and everything that makes the Western lifestyle so rich and timeless. I'm your host, Devin Conley. You might know me from my social media channels, Devin Out West, and in this space, I'll share stories from the saddle, lessons learned under the big sky, a little bit of my humor, some poetry, and plenty of heart. Whether it's my musings or a guest with a story to tell, you'll hear the voices of folks who live the West, not just in the land, but in the spirit. This show is for anyone who feels the pull of the open range, whether it's horses and cattle, history, Western fashion, or just that yearning for wide open spaces and the peace that comes with them. So take a deep seat in the saddle and join me as we talk about life out west. God is good, and I'm so glad you're here with me on this journey. Let's head westward. The Westward podcast is co-produced with LiveEQ, the leading mobile app for horse owners. Find everything you need for your horse journey, from barns and stables to trainers, jobs, and horses, all in one free app. Welcome back to another episode of the Westward podcast. I'm your host, Devin Conley, and I am so excited that you're here, and I am so excited that I'm not alone today. I have a guest. I told you I was going to have guests. Maybe you didn't believe me. Maybe you were like, Devin, are you actually? Do you have friends? I do, and here's the proof. So, at least one. Thank you, Kinlee. So, this is my guest today, Kinlee Merrick. I'm super happy that she's here. She's a very good friend of mine, and I think she's got a really cool story and is kind of just the embodiment of, like, the cowboy girl, right? So, Kinlee, thank you for being here. Glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm also glad I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So, you know, we head westward in this podcast, and we talk about all sorts of things, from like life lessons and lessons from the saddle, and maybe some mental health stuff, and just horse things and Western poetry and all those things. And I'm just excited for you to share your story today about how you got into the Western lifestyle. So did you grow up with horses? Like, Tell us the little background, the little Kinlee Merrick 101 Reader's Digest version on how you got into the Western lifestyle.
Well, the answer to most of those questions is no. I didn't grow up really in any of this. I kind of started out, actually my family owns an outfitting business, so I grew up in the hunting world. Some hunting outfitters kind of have the horses incorporated, and we were not one. My dad went on a few when he was younger, and wasn't his thing, so he never brought that back into our stuff. We had a lot of friends that had, horses here and there that I'd get on every once in a while and live out my daydreams. And I always told my dad and my mom, like, you know what, I'm gonna have horses. I'm gonna be a cowgirl, and they were like, right. Sounds great. When you move out, you can have as many horses as you want.
I said, but not here.
But not here. So virtually that's kind of what I ended up doing. I started out doing everything with them, which I feel like it's a similar world. Mm-hmm. Not quite the same, but same feeling, same kind of people, and you're doing things that maybe society is not as keen to. You're kind of living outside the bubble, I guess, still. Loved it. I love growing up hunting. I loved growing up with our business. We got to do some fantastic things. We got to do some incredible, go on some incredible adventures and see some fantastic things that we got to learn and take with us when we grew. But really, it kind of started when I started dating my husband. He kind of brought me into it finally, and I finally found that person who had a mutual love for the Western way of life, and he started my journey through all of that. He did. He started me on all of it. Him and his family have taught me everything that I know. I started dating him when I was 16 years old. I had high school sweetheart. So I've been with him for a while now. And man, it is manifested into just a wonderful life.
Yeah.
We have grown and learned, and there's so many things yet to learn, and I think we've kind of started into that. And he's lived it his whole life. Him and his family have. He grew up on a ranch and kind of worked with all that. But so no, I did not did not start there.
Yeah.
I did not. So
But found your way.
Found my way somehow. I did exactly as my dad said. When you move out, you can have as many as you want. So.
Well, I'm glad your parents put that little idea in your head. When you move out, have as many horses as you want. So if you're listening to this, and you have moved out, you can have as many horses as you want. We give you permission. We're not your parents, but we give you permission.
Do whatever you want.
So I hear from people all the time about, like, I wasn't born around horses. I wasn't born into a ranching family, a rodeo family, a horse show family, whatever it is. Is it possible for me? Can I still make that path? And you definitely come from, the outdoors background, with your family being the outfitting business, which is super cool. Shout out Table Mountain Outfitters. And so you have that background for sure, but wasn't horses specifically, like you said. And then you meet your husband when you were 16. It's a very sweet story, high school sweethearts. And he kind of brings you into the fold. And I feel like that's such a blessing to not only find your way to this lifestyle, but find your way to this lifestyle through, like, the help of so many people, the community. And I've talked about community before and how important that is. And, Kinley's one of those people in my community that has helped me out so much. That's cheered for me. Like, all of our friends up here have done that. And it's huge. It's a huge gift. So, you meet your husband. He kind of brings you into the lifestyle a little bit. You guys rope together now. You ranch together. You have your own cattle. Like, you're a family. You are living it every single day. So can you talk a little bit about, like, what that was like, just making the transition from, which you're still a hunter, but making the transition into the ranch lifestyle, the Western lifestyle, all that?
It's when you think about it, it's not. I feel like it's not a huge transition in the grand scheme of things. Like you said, it's a similar outdoors, similar way of life. But it's not the same. Like it takes a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that you can take from it or you don't take from it. I think basically from the beginning, I had people in my corner, and teaching myself from the very beginning that not all of it is going to come easily. I grew up in sports, and I grew up a very competitive person. You can ask my husband.
Wait, hang on, Kinley. Tell the people what sport you played.
I played hockey. I played boys and girls hockey. And that's how I met my husband, was through that. But being a competitive person, I wanted it to all come naturally right away. I wanted it all work right now. And I'm very blessed. I have a husband who's very patient with me, because that can cause some butting of heads for sure. But I had a husband who rooted for me every time, and he took my frustration and he showed me what to do with it. Yeah. And there is a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think that having those people in your corner, even if you don't, even if you feel like you're on your own, like it's gonna be hard, and there's gonna be great things and there's gonna be hard things, but I think it's doable. I really do. I think it's definitely something that you can bring yourself into, and I knew from a very young age that I was going to be a cowgirl. Was what I was going to do, and I was going to live the hunting life, and I was going to incorporate my own stuff into it because I've always loved it. Yeah. And I think if it's in your heart, it's what you want, and you're going to do it. You're going to You just are. You're
going to make it happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you said some really powerful things there. One, taking your frustration and using it, like utilizing it, turning it around into fuel. And, I talked about that a little bit when I talked about failures, using failure as feedback and not final judgment. And so I think that fits in beautifully. That's perfect. And, thank God for good men that are patient.
Because it was not easy on either of us. And to make myself change my way of thinking on that has been quite a journey. I cannot say that I've always felt like that. I will not stand here and preach to anybody that is how I always did it and that's how I always felt about it, because there were some times where I was like, nope, I'm done. I can't figure this out. I'm done and I'll see you later. And then I got home and went, oh, but I really want to do it. Like,
yes.
I can't figure it out. And so it's a mindset. It is changing
100%.
how you look at that. And I think you're absolutely right with everything I've listened to a few years, and changing how you look at that is huge way to step into this world.
Oh yeah, because it is so easy. Thank you, but it's so easy to throw your sucker in the dirt, or your loop in the dirt, or your reins in the dirt, or whatever.
All the time.
Yep.
All around us, like regardless if you're A1 cowboy or you're just beginning, like it's hard not to do. So there are days where you're just done. You just yeah. Done.
And if it's any consolation for anybody listening that is, you're sitting on the other side of the screen, or our friend on the other side of the screen, and you're thinking, man, I want to live that. I want horses. I want a show. I want a rodeo. I want a rope. I want a cowboy, whatever. Just if it's any consolation, know that even people that have been in this for years and years and years, and like Kinlee said, are A1 top hands, they have days where they want to throw their sucker in the dirt and go home and like sell everything and buy a golf cart, because it is
absolutely
we're struggling, right? So no, you're not alone with that. If you're brand new, if you've been here, been in the industry for 50 years, like everybody is having those days. And Kinlee also said, we've talked, community is huge and it's so important. But I also want to know something that she mentioned. You might be going at this alone, and you might not have your community yet, your village of people yet. And like she mentioned, it's still doable. It's still reachable. It's still within reach, and you're going to find those people along the way. So again, don't be discouraged if you're listening and thinking, well, yeah, that sounds great if I had that network of people, but I don't. You're going to find them. One, I truly believe, and two, like Kinlee said, it's still doable if you want it bad enough. If you think about it, you dream about it, you talk about it, you write about it, whatever, you're going to make it happen. You're going to make it happen. So, you're getting into this lifestyle. Was there anything that kind of caught you off guard? Anything where you were like, oh, that was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. Or you were like, going to have to adjust my mindset on that facet of this industry or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I think that one's a pretty deep one.
Mm-hmm.
I think we go down a huge rabbit hole with that one. I think some of the major things for me, and I won't go too extreme into it right now unless we decide to later, but
she'll be back.
I'll come back. We'll talk about it later.
She's the Terminator.
But one of the big ones is how you think about yourself as a woman in this industry. And like I said, that's a big one. I think one of the things that I have learned on that note that has made I think maybe myself better, and I think just my way of thinking better, is you're here because you want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You're here because you want to be, and not because of somebody else's opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that was something that it was a really hard shift for me to make, because I really wanted to be part of the crew. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to step up and be one with the guys and rope with them and be an equal, and in the sense of being handy and being able to prove my skills and prove my worth. And I've heard a couple times that Devin's talked about, like, make yourself busy, give yourself work. And I think there's a little bit of that goes into that, figure it out, step in, try it, do it. Like, you're going to mess it up.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You're going to mess up. And it just is what it is. And trying to get out of the mindset of, oh, I'm just so-and-so's wife.
Uh-huh.
Or trying to get out of that, worrying about what somebody else is thinking about if so-and-so's wife is coming into the ring or coming to rope in the pin, and just going because you want to have fun and you want to be there.
Yep.
I think that took so much stress off of my mind when I roped and when I was in the pins and when I was part of that it made a huge difference in my skills, because I'm not worried about what somebody else is worried about, and just my overall friendship, and just making them my friend as well. Like they chose to be there too, just like me, and it's all good. And I think that kind of leads into my other thing that I would instantly thought of, because I think of this every time I go in the branding pit now to this day. And it was actually one of our really good friends, and it was the first time I'd ever been in a branding pin.
Okay.
Like, we went to Head and Heel, and I've never done this before. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was in the branding pin on my brother-in-law's heel horse. Like, no idea what I'm doing. This horse knows.
Not even riding your own horse.
Yeah, I'm not even riding my own horse. I don't know what's happening. Like, and I went in, and they gave me a rope. And they said, go for it. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And I went in to track up on a calf to heel it. And once again, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be. Don't know what I'm doing.
I feel that.
They are, whatever. But they're letting me in here. And I, to this day, can hear the words coming out of our very good friend now to this day. He looks at me and he goes, Kinlee, ride your horse. I was like, oh, that's probably a good idea.
Oh, I forgot.
I should probably do that first. And to this day, I'm pretty sure every time I ride into a branding pin, I go, okay, Kinlee, ride your horse. Ride your horse first, and roping comes second, because that's what's important. That's what's going to get you where you're at. That's, that horsemanship, the positioning, like you've talked about before in your videos. Like, I think it's just eye-opening that the little details, the little things that go into what we're doing and to what we love, taking that extra second and slowing down and realizing what you're asking of your horse, of yourself, of the people around you, and because it all plays together. I think those two things are probably I don't know if they really tie together, but I think they kind of do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's fantastic. Great advice for anybody in any arena. Again, pun intended. If whether you're the rope and pin or you're a show jumper, when you can slow it down, start small, then look big, right? And I don't know, I kind of learned that in hunting also. When you're scanning, absolutely. Like you start close and then look far, and just looking at the details and thinking, what little things can we focus on a day? And that's something that my roping journey has been such a huge help, is focusing on one little thing at a time. So again, when you feel overwhelmed and you feel like maybe you need to throw your sucker in the dirt and go home because you can't do this, break it down. Break it down into just one or two little things. Yep. What can I be doing right now? Do I need to go rope the dummy? Do I need to just go brush my horse? Do I just need to go stand in the pen and hug on my horse? And do I need to go take a lesson? Do I need to go whatever it might? Do I need to take a break? Right? Like,
do I just need to be happy to be here?
Exactly.
Sometimes it's as simple as that.
Yeah, just to embody. It might sound silly, but just to embody that childlike love for one, the animal, right? Because we're all in it for the love of the horse and the love of the life and the sport or whatever it is, and just like Kinlee saying, just break it down and think about what little things can I focus on in this big, wide journey? Because you have your entire life to chase down the big goals, right? But today, maybe we're just working on riding our horse. And, as far as being a woman in this industry, specifically like cowboy, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because from my experience, and I think yours too, maybe it is daunting when you ride up and maybe you're one of the only women there, or one of only 2 or 3 women there, and you have that little voice in the back of your head that you're like you said, I gotta prove myself. I gotta I'm so and so's wife, I'm so and so's daughter, so and so's whatever. I need to make sure I earn my keep and really prove myself. But I think what we've all found probably is that the people that are there, they're not thinking that. They're just like, hey, man, we're glad to have the help around.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're happy you're here. And so that's, man, that is, you can fall prey, I think, to that so easily, because I definitely have.
It is.
And gotten in my head about it and been like, okay, prove my worth, right?
Yep.
But I've never met that from anybody else, any of the cowboys that were around, or anybody.
No, absolutely not.
It's just like, we're glad you're here, and we're here to help if you need it.
Yeah, and I think, kind of on our last subject of it, cowboying, I feel like, is not necessarily riding your horse and doing the things, and it really is the way you think and the way you live and the way you treat people, and I think that all kind of goes together, and you kind of have to stop and think about it and really just relax a little.
Just relax a little. Exactly.
Let it go. Don't get me wrong. I cannot preach on a big tower because I've been there. I've done it. I've lived in the hunting world my whole life. I had a mother who was extremely good at what she does, and she still lives it. I mean, and it's just that, it's the mindset of having to stop and say, maybe today I just don't need to go out. Like, maybe I don't have to go out and prove that I'm the best hunting guide there is, or that, I'm here because I love it.
Yeah.
And nothing else. It's because I want to be here, not to prove to somebody else that you need to be here.
Absolutely.
So, and like I said, I've fallen trapped to it plenty of times.
Same.
My husband has given me many speeches on, then why are you here? If you just want to, then why are you here? They don't care. I'm proud of you. You're proud of yourself. And let's go have fun.
Oh,
let's go
100%. And I feel like that applies to whether, in our personal experience, obviously we're speaking as women in the industry, but that could apply to if you're new. Yeah. If you're new to horses, you're new to the branding pin, you're new to the rope and pin, you're new to running barrels. Again, maybe you're a show jumper. Maybe you just enjoy trail riding, which is a blast, right? Yeah. If you're just new to something, doesn't matter who you are, you can have those feelings. Yeah. You can have those feelings of I got to prove my worth, and I got to make sure I can't mess up because all eyes are on me. Something I learned that saved me so much headache is nobody's thinking about you as much as you think they're thinking about you.
Absolutely.
It made me feel better when I finally realized a couple things. Yeah, one, no one's thinking about me that much. And two, when I realized everybody's making mistakes because we are human beings. Some of the people I look up to the most, and we're when they were so open about, hey man, that was not a good loop, whatever. Oh man, I really messed that one up. Yeah. And they were just open about it. They laugh at it. They move on. I was like, okay, I can do that too. I can just look at it, learn from it. Failure is feedback. It is not final judgment, right? Take your frustration, use it to your advantage, use it to fuel you, push you forward, and move on. So whether you're a woman in the industry or, maybe a woman in more of a man-dominated world or industry, or you're new to it, or you're just coming back and you're rusty, or maybe you're riding a green horse. That's another thing where you're on a green horse and you're okay, I got to prove myself.
No.
Kinlee said,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, you don't. You're here because you enjoy it and because you're having fun.
And I've been on both sides. I've been new to the industry. I've been new to this. I'm like I said, we're all still learning. I'm still learning lots of things, but there's things that I feel like I've gotten better at. Yep. But being new, regardless of what you are, who you are, what you're doing, new is scary.
That's a good way to put it.
Being new to it is scary, and sometimes you just have to let it go.
Yep. Being new is scary. And, I've talked about my own personal experience really coming back into roping, and especially in the branding pin. And Kinley's one of the people that's helped me out so much. And, don't let her fool you now. Yeah, at one point she was new. Now she is, she's a wolf, all right, in the branding pin. She doesn't miss. She's like, that's a lot of pressure. But she is a very top-notch roper. And she's just been somebody that, it's just the little things. Hey, ride your horse. Hey, maybe just try to, maybe you need more slack, less slack. Let's just shift the tiniest little thing. Mm-hmm. Now try that. Oh, still not working? No, try this.
Try it.
Oh, you saw improvement. Good. Good for today. Next time we'll work on this. So just, I think what we're saying, and hopefully what you're hearing is, one, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. If you want it bad enough, you're going to make it happen. And two, everybody's going to fail. Everybody's going to mess up. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. And three, whether you're a woman in a male-dominated area or you're just new to whatever, take the pressure off yourself and just remember why you're here. Remember why you started, right?
Absolutely.
So, on that subject, when we're talking about somebody coming in and they're new, or maybe they're not, they're wondering, do I fit in this space or whatever it is, You mentioned before too, it's about mindset and it's about attitude, and you got to have the right attitude, the right mindset. Doesn't matter who you are. That's my personal opinion. Mindset is everything. Like, what do you think somebody needs to, what kind of attitude do they need to ride in with to be successful?
Man, I think starting out, well, doesn't matter starting out or you've done it your whole life, like riding in humble, like humble, but don't be afraid to be confident. Like you don't have to be arrogant. Don't get me wrong. Like you're going to mess up.
Yep.
It's going to happen. But don't be afraid to be confident as well, because you have to try. You have to step in sometimes where maybe you're not sure if you're supposed to step in there, or maybe you aren't sure if it's your turn to rope yet, and I'm not, like, once you're already on your horse, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Once you're put on your horse.
Ooh, we'll talk branding pin etiquette.
Yeah,
I would like Kinley's thoughts on that.
Specify there. But just humble. Be humble in what you're doing. Know that you're not the best. Even if you are the best in the pin, like, you still have something to learn. You have something to learn from everybody in the pin and outside of the pin. They might not be on a horse yet, but you don't know who they are. They could have been the top-notch cowboy and you never would have known. And I think that's the way to be. I think being humble, be, cautious of everything else around you. Just be aware of what's happening and paying attention to your surroundings, but also it's okay to take a chance sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to step in and you got to try that loop, and maybe it's not going to work, and then it's the next guy's turn, but you learn something. The other thing is a learning attitude. I think that comes in huge, and I know you've talked about that a lot.
Heck yeah,
on your
growth
show,
mindset.
A growth mindset, and I think that has changed a lot of the way I've looked at things, because I rode into the branding pin terrified. I rode into the branding pin trying to prove myself and trying to show everybody what I got, and those were the days I did the worst.
Yes.
I can tell you that 100%. Those were the days that I was frustrated and angry, and I didn't want to be there because nothing was going right, and those were the days that I did my worst. Like walking in there thinking that I knew what I was doing, or I was better than someone, or because we've all done it, and I'm not going to tell you I have not, because we all have.
Yep.
We've all walked in there and went, yeah, I can outrope that one. You don't.
You get humbled real fast sometimes.
Real fast, because you can learn something from everybody.
Yep.
Everybody. So I think a growth mindset, be humble, but don't be afraid to step in and try something. Use a little bit of confidence, and not overconfidence, but...
You made a good clarification between confidence and arrogance. I absolutely agree. Like, there is a difference between confidence and arrogance.
I think that's something that can make or break somebody. And I think every once in a while, there's times where I've had a little bit of arrogance too. I've been there. I've done it. And I think stopping myself and going, all right, are you doing this because you wanted to show somebody that you're better, or are you doing this because it's what needed done? And I think that, because I think sometimes there's situations, specifically in the branding pin, and I know there's many things that you can tie to that with rodeo and
metaphorical
arena, and but I think sometimes there's times where you do have to step up, and you got to try and put a little bit of confidence out there and not necessarily confidence that you're going to get the job done, but confidence that you're going to put forth the effort.
You're going to try your best.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it might not work.
It might not. And that's okay.
Yeah, it is. It's okay. Like I said, one of our dearest friends, Kinlee, ride your horse. Yeah. Oh, I don't know how many times my husband has told me, Kinlee, you got to stop this, or you stopped your hand, or, and I have gotten pretty frustrated with him because I feel like he's nitpicking me, and I'm angry because I didn't do it right, and I have to stop myself and go, all right, take a step back, because he's only trying to help.
Yep.
They're only trying to help, and this is what you want. This is what you're striving for. So change the attitude of how you take that criticism.
Your attitude is huge. And you know, like Kinlee mentioned, you can try too hard. There is such a thing as trying too hard.
Yes.
One of like the most elusive buckles that I never won in my life growing up, from the time I was 5 to 18, every year I rodeoed at our local fair, junior rodeo. And like I rodeoed, you know, all over the state and all over multiple states growing up, but this one specific rodeo growing up was the junior rodeo at the fair. And they gave out the most beautiful all-around cowboy and all-around cowgirl buckles at, you know, the end of the rodeo. And I wanted that all-around buckle so bad. From 5 to 18, I fought for that buckle. And for the last, like, 6-7 years, I consecutively came in second. I never won it. I never won the all. I know that's not a satisfying story or ending, but I never won that all-around buckle because
But it's a real story.
I rode in and tried. Exactly. I tried so hard that I overtried. I put so much pressure on myself. I would go in, and it was, you know, it was running barrels, it was running poles, it was tying goats, it was breakaway, it was flags, like it was all these different events. And I would try so hard that I might have like a smoking fast pole run, but I hit 3 poles, you know what I mean? Yeah. So who cares? It doesn't matter. I caught, but I broke the barrier or whatever it was. I just tried way too hard and never won it. I never won it, and it made whatever. I could make excuses all day long, but I think it really comes down to like my attitude going in was never good. Every year it got to the point as I got older where I was like, I'm only doing this to win this buckle. Not even because I enjoy this anymore, but I just have to win this buckle. And that's not a good attitude, right? And then because I just put so much I wouldn't sleep the night before. I put so much pressure on myself. And like 18, when I was 18 years old, ran last time, came in second, like took reserve, last time I'd ever get a chance at it. And I just was like, okay.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
You weren't having fun.
No.
Why are you out there?
Why was I out? I was out there just
For
trying
a
to.
shiny piece of metal.
Exactly. Like paying money to, to try to win this buckle and never won it. And there's a lot of reasons why, but it really just comes down to attitude. Like it wasn't the right attitude and it wasn't the right intention. And so I think that can apply, like you said, to everything. Yeah. That definitely the brand of pin. It can absolutely apply to any arena in life, though, where whatever you're doing, your job, you're 9 to 5. You know what I mean? You go in and have the right attitude, have the right mindset. Know you're gonna mess up. You're gonna forget to send an email. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna maybe miss a deadline. I know we all try not to, but just knowing, okay, I can fix that. I can work on that. I can do this. I can learn from it. Yes. And keeping that growth mindset and keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
Yeah. I watched one of your videos on Facebook, and I think a lot of people kind of started commenting on it, and you changed kind of what you were talking about, and you were talking about backing up the trailer. Backing up the trailer, and how you'll do it 1,000 times perfectly when nobody's there.
Yep.
When nobody's there to watch you do it, you're going to do it great. And the second somebody's there, you're going to mess it up. Because you were put so much pressure on yourself. And guess what? I saw that and I was like, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not the only one who does that.
Yes. It's so
if
true.
my husband is standing there, I'm not going to back that thing up ever. It's going to take me 6 times. He's going to get frustrated and then just shake his head and walk away so that I can finish because he's not going to take it from me. But if I'm by myself, I'm going to first try every time.
Yep.
But I think it applies. Like a lot of people were saying, like, it's not just backing up the trailer. It really is just how life goes. Like, sometimes there's going to be people to cheer you on, and sometimes there's not. And sometimes you put that pressure on yourself, and it changes your whole attitude, and it changes everything you do. So I don't know. I think changing your attitude, and like I said, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. It's nothing we're talking about is easy. Absolutely. No. I'm glad that you said that because it's easy to sit here and talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a whole other thing when you are in an 8-hour pickup ride home, you know, from the rodeo where you entered up and donated your fees or whatever, the horse show, and you're driving home in silence because you're like...
Because you're frustrated.
That was rough.
You went badly, but...
But attitude, mindset, and back to that failures feedback. Use your frustration. And you know, we talked about just a whole bunch of things, you know, going over coming into the industry, whatever part of the industry. We talk about what we know, which is kind of the cowboy lifestyle and my background in rodeo and all that. But like I said, my friend on the other side of the screen, you might not even have horses, but all of this is applicable to just life. It's just applicable to life. And you don't even have to own a horse for any of this to apply to you, because anything that you do, right, you should have that growth mindset, that attitude. In the moment, maybe you have to work through it and then come back and fix your attitude later. I've always thought personally, your first reaction is human nature, and your second reaction is your character. So if your first reaction is like, I quit, I give up, I don't want to do this. Hey man, I get it. I've been there too.
That's fair. I think that's a great way to look at that.
And then if your second reaction is, okay, nope, I can do this. I'm going to power through. I'm going to figure it out. Well, there's your character.
I think you're right. Because there's many times where something happens and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
it's not working.
You're right.
Can't do it. And then you gotta stop, do it again.
Cool off.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again. So, Kinlee, I guess to wrap up here, what kind of basic advice do you have for somebody just coming from your perspective of, you were definitely in a adjacent lifestyle, being out, the outdoors lifestyle, the outfitter, growing up in the outfitter family, all that's amazing, but still different than the cowboy lifestyle, than the Western lifestyle. So you've come so far, right, to where you didn't have horses growing up to now. I mean, how many horses you guys got standing outside? You have your own cattle, you have your own herd, your own brand. You are a family ranching unit, right? And I think that's a dream for a lot of people, whether it's ranching, absolutely, whether it's ranching or homesteading or just having 2 horses standing outside your back door that you can go out and, snuggle on when you just need to get that horse smell into your nose to feel better. We talked about mindset, growth, mindset, attitude, all these things coming into the industry, maybe being a woman in the industry and knowing that you don't have to prove yourself. Just show up and do your best, right? Look for work and you're going to be just fine. Kinlee, I guess I would ask you as we kind of close out this episode, was it worth it? Was it worth it to go through the growing pains of starting over in a new industry, in a new lifestyle? Was it worth it to have those tough days, which we all still have, right? But all the learning, all the growth, all the long nights, everything like that, to build your dream, which you guys have built. They have built from the ground up, and we'll talk more about that in other episodes. I'm going to have her back on, and I think we'll talk about...
You'll have me.
Absolutely. We'll talk about... Kinlee's a mother also, so there's a lot of great insight there, raising kids in this lifestyle, and entrepreneurship, and ranching. Branding pen etiquette, I think, would be a fabulous topic. I think people would find that really interesting, but we'll kind of wrap out this episode with that. Was it worth it?
Absolutely. I think that's the only word that comes to mind. I would do it 1,000 times over.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still growing. We're still small, and we're doing our best to continue this. And I would do it all over again. I really would. Everything that we've learned, and there's a few times where you probably could ask me that question, and I probably would have had a different answer. But it is a lifestyle, and it's a labor of love, and it is something that you strive for and you feel in your heart, and you just do it, it just you just go for it and make it what you love, because your love might not be the branding pin like it is mine. I love branding calves, and I love doctoring and the ranching, the cowboying. Yeah, the cowboy side of things, and it is extremely dear to me. I break waters every morning and love it. I might complain about it during the time, but it's to go out there and look at what you've built, and to look at those cows and know that me and my husband, we built it for our family. Yep. And we have started this from not a lot. I mean, we had a lot of family and a lot of encouragement, but we've put a lot into it to get this far, and I would absolutely do it again. Yep. I would start from ground zero, because it really is, it is dear to my heart. It is part of your life, and it's part of what we do, and I watch my parents do it with their outfitting business, and now I get to share it with my daughter and get to go into that too. So yeah, Absolutely.
So, imagine yourself, our listener, imagine yourself on the other side, right? Like if you're starting over, you're starting fresh, you're starting new, you're starting again, whatever. Imagine yourself on the other side when you can look back and say, was it worth it? Yeah, right? And just keep going. Have the attitude and have the growth mindset. Don't be scared of failure. Be confident, but not arrogant.
Not arrogant. That's a big one.
And don't give up, because I think Kinley's just a great example of having this really cool childhood, this really cool lifestyle that she got to grow up in and doing all the things, and then making the switch into a different industry and being very successful at it because of all the things we've talked about here today. So yeah, just imagine yourself when you have those days where you just want to say, nah, I can't do this. That's okay. That's your first reaction. That's your human nature. If your second reaction is, I have to do it, then you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. So, Kinley, thank you so much for chatting today. I really enjoyed this, and I hope that you guys did too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And, we'll see you next week. Don't forget to check your cinch, check on your friends. God is good. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for heading westward with me.